Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our March 3rd council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Dr. Hayes? Mr. Gottstein?
Here.
Mr. Ball?
Yep. Could I have a motion to excuse Dr. Hayes? He said he wouldn't be here this evening.
I'll make a motion to excuse Dr. Hayes.
Second.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval minutes of the regular meeting of February 17th, 2014. Any additions or corrections?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting of February 17th, 2014.
Excuse me 1 minute, Jeremy. I'd like to re-clarify something that happened at the last council meeting. If the council recall, right at the end of the meeting, I wanted to change something, and I couldn't find it on the agenda. So I mentioned to the council that I'd check with Tricia, and the issue that I wanted to change, in which the council is well aware of, I voted past previous times not on that payment for the property out that the previous council voted on out at
Spring Valley Ranch.
Spring Valley Ranch, which I voted yes in, which I meant to vote no on it. And I would like to have that clarified before I,
Because
on
it
the
wasn't done,
previous
because it
minutes.
wasn't done on in the previous time, it can't be added to the minutes, but a note can be added this time. Just a comment that you had made that you made that comment. And
I'd like to have it,
It'll-
make
so
a
it'll be on-
correction. I'd like to make a correction on the previous meeting.
But that's not how the vote was done, so they can't go back and change. So,
Well, I wanted noted now.
Right,
where
right.
That I made.
well, it
I
can be
did
noted,
not
it can be
need
noted
to
on the,
vote for it.
it can be noted on today's minutes for the ones we'd approve next time, that you made the comment, but we can't go back and change the previous minutes because that's what was done.
Well, that was my intent at the last meeting, and I clarified with Tricia, and that was my intent on it, so. How am I gonna correct this? That is noted.
By
can
making
put your
the
comments
comment
in the
now, Tricia can put in the minutes for this meeting, that you made the comment that you intended to vote no to the Spring Valley Ranch. But it would just be it'll be on this meeting, it won't be going back and changing the vote.
Okay. Got that?
I got it.
Okay.
Is there support for Chris?
I'll support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes, with that correction, Trish?
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Approval manifest 2014-05 in the amount of $383,565.12. Lee.
Page 4, under electrical utility, just more general information on this than anything. I guess I want your, on the electrical lineman, I realize this is a contract thing, but step 4, apprentice training expenses reimbursement 555. How many steps are involved in that, Joe?
Well, there's a total of 4 weeks a year that he goes to school,
Okay.
all right? And he's going into his 4th year, so we haven't had to pay for his first 3 years, so there's 4 weeks remaining that he has to go through, plus the cost of the school, and I haven't got that yet.
And then he will be a full-fledged?
Yes, he'll be a journeyman
Okay,
at that
that's-
point, yes.
I'm pretty sure that's all I have. I'm going to check your, Oh, and could you just Again, out of curiosity, give us, someone else might ask this, but I'll get it out of the way. The total cost so far on thawing of all the water lines, instead of me adding them all up here.
I have that too, Lee, here. It's $23,892.
And that's for the 297 calls, or no?
That, I didn't add them all up, Lee,
Because
on
I
this
know-
manifest, but if that's how many there are here,
I
then
I
that's
see
what,
that, yeah, in our notification here, there was that many
Have
calls.
they caught up on billing us for all of them now, or?
no, there's still some outstanding.
That's all I have.
What was that amount, Joe, 23?
Okay, it's 23,892.
Okay.
George?
I just got a couple more on page 5. Joe, on that Baker Manufacturing, there's 2 of them for $336. Shaft and pinion, right up on the top. First 2 items on page 5.
Yep. Yep. What that is, George, is it's a hydraulic pump for unit number 4. That went bad, and we rebuilt the pumps in-house. These are the parts for the pumps. The impeller and the shaft and the bearings and stuff.
Okay, and then the last item there, Joe, that 4,900 on that same column.
Okay, those are Border Electric supplies. If you recall, and we're going back several years now because this has taken a long time, but the system loop and the redundancy and the automation of the 2 extra reclosers, so it isolates itself when there's faults on the line to keep the hydro on. We finally got all the engineering done, and Cooper Power Systems feels confident that the communications is right now, and so we're moving forward with ordering the material for that.
That's a shop that you just haven't done, right?
That's correct. It's in the budget, yes. It's all budgeted. But you're going to be seeing some more bills come that are pretty big for that, to finish up that project.
That's all I have, Jim.
Chris?
All my questions were asked and answered.
The only other question I had was on the first page, right at the bottom of administration, the CyberZone Windows 7 Pro, memory upgrades, wireless. What did that all entail? Or why do we need to do what it did?
Well, we still have a number of machines that are running XP, and the support, more importantly, the Windows support for virus control in XP is going to be done. So they recommended to upgrade those machines to Windows 7. And we do have a couple of hardware problems, a couple machines that have some hardware problems that need to be replaced out. You're going to see those bills coming through. We buy a Dell computer that's not through CyberZone. So those will be coming through under Dell. We order those direct. We had our different pricing.
We didn't upgrade any of those.
No, those are coming with Windows 7.
Right, right.
But these are a couple of
I just wanted to make
current
sure we didn't
existing.
upgrade them and then are going to take them out. So-
No, they're coming with.
No, they're, as Ray's correct, they're coming right from Dell. We haven't ordered them yet. I got a price for one, but then I call and get a price for 4 to see if they give us a better deal through the government program for 4. But what he's referring to, they don't have any more patches for the XP. They're going to totally eliminate that.
Right.
So all your security is going to be gone.
I still run XP, so I've been keeping an eye
Yeah.
on that.
So they're recommending, some of the machines that we have won't take Windows 7 because there's not enough memory in the machine. And we're looking to see if we can upgrade the memory, and if we can't, then we got to change the machine out.
Okay, that's my other question. Looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion, we approve manifest 2014-05 in the amount of $383,565.12.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Okay, does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on the minutes manifest or any agenda item? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. If not, there'll be a further time for comment on any subject at the end of the meeting. Okay, we have 4 items on communications this evening. The first is Resolution 2014-04, wastewater treatment plant aeration project, WPPI loan documents. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you remember last year, over the last year and a half, we've been working with WPPI on an energy efficiency project out at the wastewater plant. This particular project replaced a blower unit at the plant and some upgrade in that aeration area. This is also part of the overall project that we're going to accomplish out at the plant for a system-wide upgrade, which is coming down through a loan through rural development, which you'll see this later this year. But under this project, we'll walk back, we received some grant monies through the state of Michigan's EO program, as well as a matching grant through WPPI, and then the remainder, which is the $89,942, that was agreed to be paid for through a 10-year 0% interest loan that WPPI puts through for its members. That's the same loan and program that we used for the upgrading the LED lighting, street lighting. And so the paperwork is somewhat lagging the project. The project, we needed to move that project forward, mainly for the state program, but WPPI has approved all the documents, and now they're just looking for council formal approval, and we'll put that in place. So that's what you see before you. Again, they're the same documents that we previously approved for the LED project. Were sent over to the attorney's office, and everything, from what I'm told, everything seems to be in order.
Larry, did you have a chance, or Jay have a chance to go over them?
We both looked at it, it looked like everything's in order, it's a pretty standard agreement, promissory note.
Okay.
It appears we have no problems. Thanks.
When I was looking through them, on the WPPI Energy worksheet that's stuck in with the project just before the promissory note, there is one mistake in that they list Joe's email incorrectly. They list it as dpi@norwaymi.com, not dpl@norwaymi.gov. So I don't know if we need to change that on the official documents. That was just one mistake I'd found going through it. Is there any other questions?
I got a question. The 0% is great, and the 10 years, it's practically nothing. Exactly what, Joe, did we figure out, or did you figure out, what our savings would be efficiency-wise with these new blowers versus the old one? So I guess what I'm looking for is the type of payback.
I'm trying to recall, Lee, because I don't have that
It was about 2
study in front of me, but
I don't
It
remember
was
exactly what it was.
2.5 years. I think it was about 2.5 years. wasn't it?
yeah, when the total project was done.
Right.
You got to get the other 2 blowers in to get the biggest bang for your money. But in the initial phase, there wasn't a big savings initially, but the big savings came when all of the blowers in the big project were all completed. Then it had like a 2.5-year
That's what it was,
payback.
okay.
Well, and this was part of the big project, but by taking it out, we got it for 0%.
Yeah, we got it for
value.
0%.
Right,
yeah.
yeah. So bottom line is 2.5% payback, that's real good.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2014-04, wastewater treatment plant aeration project.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Jordan. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Minigini?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Approval, Resolution 2014-05, Marion Park Tennis Court Project, Michigan DNR Grant Agreement. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you remember at the last meeting, we had a discussion concerning engineering agreement for the tennis court project, one that we're going to be constructing this summer under the MDNR passport grant. From the time from that meeting till now, I did receive in the mail the state grant agreement. And so, from a timing standpoint, I think it works out pretty well. We can take a look at that grant agreement, and then the next item on the communications will be the engineering agreement. We can talk if you have any questions on the project itself, and the budget, and some of the details that were asked at the last meeting regarding eligibility and what's an eligible cost. It's a standard grant agreement, went through it. A lot of state language, but the bottom line is that it's a $60,000 project. The budget was provided. It's a $45,000 grant, the $15,000 in-kind match. There will be some, we're trying to raise some cash for the project as well. Since the time we put this in, we did crushed gravel, so we have some material that we're going to add to the project, which actually was really not accounted for in the original budget, but it's going to help us out. We have sand, which is also going to help out. So I think we're well positioned for a pretty decent project. We can talk about the details of the engineering at the same time, or we can wait until that particular item comes up, but bottom line is we need to move forward with the grant agreement and resolution and start the engineering on the project. So the plan is to have a midsummer project, have the portion done by Labor Day. That's the original plan.
I know this was deemed as the priority for the Parks and Rec Department. This
It
year's
was.
priority was to get the tennis courts in.
Yes, there's 2 courts. Overall, the plan is to have 4 courts. I don't know what we have now, but because of the type of grant, the maximum that's allowable in the grant, we have to do this 2 by 2s. So, and this seemed to be the best fit for this type of project for that grant. So,
Well, and in case people are aware, they're going to be moving the courts up more into Marion Park from where they are now. If you want to...
well, there was over the last 4 or 5 years, we've done quite a bit of research on our tennis courts, because the sub base, there's a problem in the sub base. We have a tremendous amount of sinking. The theory was, or speculation was, that there's something under an organic material or something that's causing the courts to actually sink, or portions of them sink. Major cracking, major settlement. So we did have Coleman Engineering come in and do some sonogram, some work to try and figure out what's down below, and we did get reports back that anywhere from 8 to 12 feet deep there's problem areas. When we looked at reconstructing in place, we would literally have to dig out 8 to 12 feet down and then recompact, and doing a budget analysis at that time, it would be just as costly to reconstruct in place as to relocate them in a new location. We did look at the locations around the park, and we felt that since it was timely, to look at the optimum locations, that there was actually an area up in the park itself that it's a sandier sub-base, a better soil situation, we felt better location for some tennis courts. We also recognized the need around the soccer fields for a parking area. So overall, in the long term, that area could be reconfigured into a parking lot area, be a lot safer for the kids, for the soccer kids. So from a long-term approach, it just made sense to move them. During the interim, we're going to keep the 4 courts going as long as we can until we get the 4 courts to replace them. But that just seemed like, from the Parks and Rec standpoint, that just seemed like that was the most reasonable approach. So,
Ray, I got one question here. Was the water line, moving that water line, ever taken in any of the construction on?
yeah, we're going to take that into account. We're going to relocate that water line. Talking with Dave, hopefully we don't have frost through the end of June, but we're gonna
I mean,
get
was
that
that,
relocated.
is that included in the project anyway, where?
No, that's
I
gonna
imagine
be-
the city crews are gonna do that, so.
Yeah, city
I mean-
crews are gonna do that, and that's in part of the in-kind. You know, that's gonna be
That's in
part,
part of in-kind work?
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Okay, that was my question.
yeah.
I'd just like to make a couple comments on this. I see that a total of 87 applications were evaluated under this program, totaling $3 million in requests to the DNR, and we're one of the 19 that got it. And I also noticed that most of them were $45,000. Is that the maximum on all these priorities and all these grants?
Yeah, the maximum grant was 45,000,
Okay.
so that was a maximum grant.
Maximum
level.
project was 60, maximum grant 45.
So I see where, like I said, we're one of 19 that got it out of 87, so we must have done something right.
Any other
One question that did come up at the last meeting, just to clarify, the original budget had $5,000 in for engineering, and that was grant eligible. So there was a question about whether engineering was grant eligible. That was grant eligible. So the thing is that the 45,000 is the maximum grant. So, I mean, we're gonna see this in the next, when we talk about the engineering component. 85 is grant eligible as well, however, you're capped at 45. So it all comes down to, as you do the project, you know, you're still gonna only get capped at 45,000.
And with everything approved, and if we approve the engineering, when would they start construction? When would the courts be available?
Well, we didn't, our target is Labor Day to have it complete. You know, we haven't done a project analysis based, or scheduling, you know, construction analysis yet. So we have to get through the engineering and see how the breakdown is with,
Would this be
With
something the DNR would bid out, or would it be something we would bid?
we do it ourselves. This isn't like the MDOT job. Yeah, we have a better control over that.
Right, that's why I was
Yeah.
asking.
I think right off the bat, Ray, that water line has to be done before anything can be done.
Yeah, and
That's what I
I
mean.
agree with that.
And
We
if
have
we're
to,
waiting for a thaw, I mean, we'd probably be before July, before the thaw is out.
yeah, it's a, you know. So there's a lot of, you know, a lot of things to consider as we go through. If we're not, you know, if we don't make it by Labor Day, I mean, we want to be done by October, you know, by winter. But our target is still Labor Day. We'd like to be done.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
Is this just for the tennis court project then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grant?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we pass resolution 2014-05 for Marion Park Tennis Court Project for the MDNR grant agreement.
Second?
Motion made by George, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Mr. Gotstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Ogier?
Yes. Next, we have the approval Marion Park Tennis Court Project Engineering Agreement. This is bringing it back from last time. There were some concerns about the staking and the surveying. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Continue from our conversation about the tennis court project. I did go back and talk to, Jeff Schoquist is here from Coleman Engineering. We talked about the staking in the engineering, or the quality assurance, on-site quality assurance. And so he put together a revised proposal, which we have before council this evening. It's a revised proposal for $8,000. So, Jeff, do you have any, or anybody have any questions for?
What was the original bid on that?
5,000.
It was $5,000.
Five, or $3,000 extra, that was one of my questions. The only other question I got, Jeff, is during construction, we will do weekly visits. Is that just a,
It'll be as needed. I think the point is
Okay,
trying to
that-
be is that it won't be full-time.
that
You
was
know,
my
a water
question.
sewer line project, you got,
Weekly,
kinda gotta be
just a
full-time.
term?
Generic.
Right, okay.
Just trying to point out it probably will not be full-time.
Yeah, that was all I
But at least,
question I had.
Any other questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that the engineering agreement Coleman Engineering for MDR Passport Grant project to construct 2 new tennis courts be approved for a price cost not to exceed $8,000.
I'll support. Motion made by Lee, supported by myself. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yeah.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Thank you.
Question? Or
I
later?
forgot what I was gonna ask you, Jeff.
Okay.
I'll
Just-
catch you after.
I'll just point out, Ray and Trish here, we're gonna have to do a legal description and a project map to insert into your grant agreement before you send it in with that resolution, okay? Thanks.
Okay, last thing on the agenda this evening is Resolution 2014-06. Resolution to close MERS Division 10 DB Plan. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've mentioned this in a couple of previous council meetings. Part of the process, procedures for moving forward with closing our defined benefit program for Division 10, we need to now pass a resolution, which I've attached. Again, that's under our contract with MERS for moving this forward. There probably is going to be at least one more resolution. We have to choose an option A or option B funding plan. That's that amortization schedule on the unfunded liability portion. So, but that will come after we put this through, and this is just our general resolution of intent.
We'll take care of that during budget hearings, right, Ray?
Yeah, I imagine with the timing of it, it's probably going to be very similar to that. Again, I send this off to MERS, and then their lawyers look at it, and they're going to give us a resolution that we next spring need to bring in front of council. So if we have to deal with this before May, our standard budget hearing time, then we'll just have to put some of the figures together and come in earlier.
Do we have to make any choices right now, Ray?
Not on either option. This is the choice, though, to close the group.
Okay. Because I think there should be a lot more discussion on this, you know. Even though I think we were kind of consensus what we wanted, our intent, what we wanted to do. You know, if there's other choices or other,
There's two options.
yeah.
I mean, there's actually, there's two options that we talked about at the end of December. We either close the group, or we have to go through a hybrid program. And at that time, and in previous meetings, we talked about, our preference is closing the group. After we make that decision, now we have two more options, which is that we have a funding level A or a funding level B, depending, which I showed you. We don't have to make that decision tonight. That one is going to come, and I don't know exact timing of that, as Lee asked, depending on when we get the resolution back from MERS. They haven't been exactly speedy on their legal team giving us direction. So I'm estimating if it's, the first week in March, or earliest is probably going to be at the first meeting in April, if not the second meeting in April would be the earliest.
Is it fair to ask Mary what your feelings are on this?
As far as the options go, or the closing of the group?
General,
I think your
overall.
best option is to close that group and move forward with the DC plan.
Okay, I'm sure you have looked at this quite well. I mean, you feel comfortable with this, Mary?
Yes,
You
we've
feel,
discussed it many times.
of the choices that we might have to make, do you feel comfortable with them?
Yes.
Personally, I have some issues with it. I've more thought about it. What this will result in is like an 8 1/3% increase in the electric rates. This is on top of any of the yearly increases we've been doing. This is on top of sewer rate increase that we're going to have to do. This is on top of cable rate increase we're going to have to do. We're going to have to make these increases, and we can avoid increasing the rates by that 8 1/3% if we go with the hybrid plan. And the more I've thought about it, the more I don't think we should close the group. I think we should more go with the hybrid plan. We would still maintain a liability in MERS. It would reduce the liability in the long run. We wouldn't eliminate it. But it would be reduced as your new hires were in that hybrid plan, because it's a much, much smaller pension. Instead of the multiplier we have now, it'd be a very minimal 1.0 multiplier, bare bones pension. And looking at it, I think that's the better choice. The more that I've looked at it, the more that I've just read what we've been given, thought about what we've been given. Rather than, this is a rate increase we don't necessarily have to do.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. This council, past councils have been kicking the ball down the road too long. We get the 15, 16 million in unfunded liabilities, and I'm sorry, we got to do something about it. We can't keep going like that.
I agree with you, Lee, but I think we've got to take a mighty hard look at this and have as many options or as many choices possible that we make a right.
Yep, there are two choices.
Yes, I realize that.
There's two
but
options.
I mean,
Yeah. We're limited by what MERS is going to allow us to do, because we're under contract with them. So I've been working for 10 years on this issue, okay? The last two very, very strongly with the leadership at MERS on closing the group or what we have to do to try and get in this direction. And this is the hybrid that I proposed in December, at the end of December, was a culmination of those 2 years of, you know, this is what they're willing to do for us that lowers, keeps the cost to us as low as possible. And really the risk is what the most important part. We positioned ourselves with our negotiations with our employees, you know, so we put ourselves in a capped risk situation if we did go with the hybrid, but there's not a lot of options. There are basically the two options, either the hybrid that I proposed in December or closing the group, and then you have these option A and option B on the amortization schedule. So I mean, I just want to make sure we're clear on that. There are no other options that we can really look at. Those are the options that are in front of us.
Chris, what's your feeling?
I kind of feel the same way as Lee. I think we should close this group out and decide on one of the options. I think that's the best option going forward for the long term. And I know it's going to unfortunately affect rates, but.
And each group, each fund, we're going to have to look at it differently. I mean, some, like your general fund, you're not going to be able to probably look at that amortization schedule the same as you can with your utility funds, because the ability to pay is so much more difficult. You know, so you have to do some more of the financing, and as much as we don't like that, that's the kind of the fiscal position we're in. So
This is pretty much the only group that we have this option that's even
I think
viable for us.
I think you could seriously consider it with the police department, just because the sheer amount is you know, you're not talking as many employees, and nearly as many employees. Definitely in ASME, it's a bigger stretch. You know, you have to, and that includes a lot of the general fund, and then of course your supervisors group. I think your amount is just too high. So this is the group to really have an open mind about taking this option of closing the group.
Is the union, do they have any say in this, Ray, or they, what's their feelings? Have you talked to them?
Yeah, we talked to them, and
I'm sure they probably don't like it, but.
see, what's interesting is when you have new hires, they're not used to pensions, period. I mean, there's very few places that have a pension program. So the defined contribution plans are more understandable to most of the employees. And when we did talk to the electric group about this or a hybrid, they really didn't like to, they didn't understand the hybrid as much, the pension side of it, and they were very comfortable with what we have available for them moving forward. So,
Joe,
they
all your new
prefer not to.
Personnel that hired in the past year or two, they're under this new system or no?
Yes, they are under the new system. Per the new union contract, this system already exists in that contract. The language is there for this. I've talked to the guys, and they would much rather have this matching funds, 6%, and they don't want to be in a pension, MERS pension. They would rather it the other way. That's their preference.
And this doesn't affect any of the existing
No,
employees
it
that
has
are
no
in
effect
MERS?
on the existing employees
Right.
whatsoever. It's just new hires.
And this is what we fought for in negotiations.
That is correct.
Any new employees will not come in under MERS,
Yes, that is correct
because
statement.
that's where our big unfunded liability is.
I still just think, this is an 8.3% electric rate increase that we don't have to do. I mean, we have other options.
And as
Why
long
are
as
you
we,
coming up with that figure, Jeremy?
'Cause it's a one penny. It's from
much
Joe's number.
How much in dollar cents is that per kilowatt?
It's 1 penny per kilowatt. Joe had given us that at the
Okay,
December.
Yeah,
I'm much
we-
more comfortable with the fact of 1 penny per kilowatt rather than 8%.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Either way you shake it out, George, I mean, the numbers are the numbers, but when you look at the two choices that you're going to have here, and I did not sit here and exactly crunch numbers, but Mary and I were just talking, and, the top chart, you're definitely looking at a penny down the road that you'd have to increase over the life of the amortization. You'd want to do a penny so it's more stable. The second one, looking at that one over time, we were just talking, we don't think it's going to be that much, but we can get exactly what it would be for you. But I think it's going to be a little less than a penny, a kilowatt hour, on the second chart, by looking at the numbers here, and the amount of kilowatt hours that we sell a year.
And that's not necessarily forever, that's just until we get.
No, it's not forever, it's just for the term of the time it's paid off. And then the way it would be set up is that when that's up, it goes away. I mean, whoever would be the accountant at the time, Mary and I are not going to be here when that goes away, but it's set up to go away.
That's like 15, 18 years.
Yeah, it's a long time down the road, yes.
I don't like the idea of the rate increase. I mean, that is the one downside to this, but I think this is the best plan of attack for dealing with these liabilities.
well, like I said before, we've got to face this, and I'm tired of kicking it down the road. Last year at our budget meetings, we had 4 or 5 meetings, I was the only one that even mentioned our unfunded liability and the pension. And nothing happened. And it's time to face it. And as long, even with this rate increase in the electrical department, if we can stay at that 10, 15% below We Energies, we're doing the citizens a favor. And we will be able to do that.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that Resolution 2014-06 be approved.
Second?
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
No.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our business for the evening. Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on any topic? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. Any of the kids from school want to come up and ask something for a nice report, get extra credit? No? Okay. Okay. Chris?
Nothing tonight?
George?
Nothing.
Lee?
2 things. Joel, how's our salt holding out?
I don't
I
have the
see some
latest.
places have run out totally.
Yeah, we're not out, okay?
Okay.
We've now have delivered everything we contracted for. and there's still some in the salt shed, so
And then one
cross
other...
your fingers.
Okay, one other question. How are we coming on our delinquent utility bills? Any improvement, any movement?
We've had a meeting of our committee. We had some questions that Jay was going to research for us, and we're gonna be getting back together, probably about the middle of the month, Ray, is that? To review that.
Very good, that's all I have.
Joe, how's everything at the dam holding up, especially with the ice, with the cold? Any issues?
The dam structure itself is fine. There's no issues there with anything new that,
Right.
you know, there's issues, but nothing new. I did want to comment that last council meeting, you approved for Ames generator folks to come in, and they have been here. They spent 4 days here. We did find some internal wiring problems with the generator on number 4, and we've corrected those issues now. And we've had it online for about 4 days without a problem on that. The second piece of that contract with those folks was to look at the excitation system, which has been giving us sporadic interruptions over the course of the last probably 4 or 5 years, but we've been kind of living with them. So as long as they were coming, I had them take a look at that too. They found that there were some wiring issues in the DEX 200 excitation units. They were rewired incorrectly from the 2002 project. So we are going back, and I'm going to get another quote from them to have them wired properly. We'll have to pull, my guys are going to do some wiring, pulling some new wires and stuff in the plant, and then they'll be there to hook them all up and set up the units.
Can we bill Kaiser?
It wasn't a Kaiser job, it was a North American Hydro job in '02, and they are no longer in existence.
Good thought, though, George.
Over the weekend, we've had a couple issues with Unit 1 and 2. I haven't totally got it sorted out yet, so I'm just working on that. That's what I was doing most of today. So I'll let you know as I know more if there's anything real serious going on.
The only other thing I had is Wednesday this week at 6 o'clock, we have a joint planning commission, Parks and Rec special council meeting. I know some of the things we're going to be going over is stuff that we had talked about with the community planning. Ray, can you go into a little more detail with everything else that's planned for that meeting?
Well, we have a proposed project for Strawberry Lake that we'd like to go through. The Parks and Recreation Committee would like to go through with the Planning Commission, get some feedback. Council will have that at its March 17th meeting. So there'll actually be a public hearing for the March 17th meeting on that project. So we wanted to get as many people together to review that project. We're also going to review some visioning with the Planning Commission, because they were working on the master plan update, and so that's basically kind of a community vision session.
If anyone's interested in that, I encourage anyone to come down. It's 6 o'clock on March 5th at City Hall downstairs. That's all I have. Joe, anything else?
No, I have nothing else.
Mary? Tricia? Larry?
Nothing.
Larry, I'd like to thank you again for filling in for Jay since he wasn't able to make it this evening.
Thank you.
Ray?
I have nothing this evening, other than thank you for joining us tonight.
We have no closed session, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Hold on. Lee, Chris. Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Take it easy, buddy.